So today I'd like to talk about some of my favorite Keyfarm builds for Diablo 3 for next season, Season 22. In the past, there was a time when Condemn was one of the best solo specs in the game, so I do kind of have a feel for farming solo with Condemn, with Unleashed, and really enjoying that. People have also used the physical rune in the past, but I feel like this really synergizes with being able to fit in Norvalds. So with the extra cube slot, you can wear the Norvalds two-piece set of weapons and just cube both of the normal Condemn weapons and still get all of the damage plus another massive amount of damage. You can also fit in Cains while getting the full benefit of Akkhan's. So this is a Cain's build with no Cain swapping. I'm just wearing two pieces of Cain's while I'm going and pretty much one-shotting everything in T16. Like, I think this elite takes a little while, but generally most things die really fast, especially if they are next to other enemies, because that's just kind of how Condemn works. The more things in one spot, the more damage they all take. So a little bit of the drawbacks of this build is obviously its AoE is really low compared to something like Wave of Light or Multi-Shot or Shattershot, and its movement speed is also not great compared to a lot of those other builds as well. What it makes up for is it's just really relaxing to play. You're just kind of moving towards everything and then blowing them up. Sort of like a chicken build, but a slower version of it, I'm guessing. I haven't really farmed with that. But basically, I farmed with this build for an hour and did 20 regular rifts in that time. Basically, because Cain's is a 25% key bonus on average, I end up getting the effect of farming 25 rifts while farming only 20 rifts. So it's a little bit more relaxed, and it's basically like getting 25 rifts in that hour. I don't know if this was exactly average. Maybe if I had a little bit different RNG, I would have gotten one more, one fewer, but it's probably pretty close since it was across an entire hour of farm time. So this is the best version of Akkhan Cain's Condemn farming that I've tried on the PTR. There's no reason to think that any of this would get nerfed, because none of this got buffed too much. It's basically just regular Condemn benefiting from the theme. Technically, Akkhan's got a little bit of a buff, but this build would work even without that buff. So we got both of the Condemn items cubed. This is possible next season. It's not normally possible. Got Leoric's Crown cubed because we need that to get to our cooldown reasonably. You might be able to do that if you had max on everything, including the necklace, but I'm not even sure if you can then without having a Leoric's Crown or something to give you extra cooldown. Gogok would be another option, but I'd rather not worry about having to keep Gogok stacks up, especially like keeping track of where my Akkrats is at, and if I have Gogok when I'm about to refresh it, like, it just sounds tedious. So for now, just definitely Leoric's Crown. I'm using Squirts to give double damage, which is up all the time via Molten Wildebeest Gizzard and Gold Wrap and Boon of the Hoarder. So we're always getting gold. We're always taking like almost zero damage because of the Gold Wrap, and we're picking up that gold and the orbs really easily because of Avarice Band. As long as we don't take 284,000 damage, then we always have that double damage. So as long as you've got that bonus armor coming in, you never break this. It could be a rank 25 Molten Wildebeest, so it would work just as well when you're key farming. So for passives, I've got the Cheat Death on. Especially on hardcore, I would definitely take that, but I guess you technically don't need it on softcore, especially while key farming. Finery, it's the most offense you can get out of a passive. You could take Holy Cause, but that's more as a nice synergy with the healing and stuff. And since we don't take damage, we won't benefit from it. So this is just the most damage. Long Arm of the Law is really nice for this 50% movement speed to be up twice as long, so it's pretty much all the time. Heavenly Strength is required to use this weapon and shield combination. Some options for mid-season when you have a lot more damage. So right now, I have pretty good rolls on gear. Like, I did reforge like crazy, but my strength is only 9672 now that I've taken Finery back off. So it wouldn't be crazy to imagine that being doubled, in which case you could drop Squirts, right? Because that would be the same effect if damage. And then maybe you could throw on Retchels, and I think Condemn has a really high proc rate, so maybe you actually get that Retchels buff just by having a good Retchels on, and it would also have higher stats. It would have more damage, so you wouldn't even really have to have double damage before you would make that swap. You could make it at like 80% more strength, so maybe 15, 16, 17k strength. You could do as much damage with a good Retchels and just cubing the Ring of Royal Grandeur. Other options would be to swap out your Bane of the Trapped, with Wreath of Lightning. That's the main thing that comes to mind. Again, I don't think I would want to use Gogok there in place of Leoric's Crown and then try and pick up Warzekians or anything like that. Although if you were running in a group or just didn't care about NEMs, you could just wear Warzekians. So this is the build I use for key farming this season on Monk. It's at Legacy of Dreams, Wave of Light. These are the passives and skills and runes and such. This is what I have in the cube. Next season, I would add the Rabid Strike. It allows your Spirit Spenders, while you have Epiphany active, to be doubled, which Epiphany will probably be up the whole time, so that's lots of 2 Wave of Lights going out. And it's kind of auto-targeted, which can be nice if you have plenty of damage, because it can shoot things in addition to the thing you were aiming at to save you time on, instead of having to click, it'll just automatically shoot at something else. But it also can be bad if you are low damage and you want to focus on an elite and it just wants to shoot like a wall or something. But anyway, this is what it looks like farming with Legacy of Dreams, Wave of Light, with this much Paragon. And, you know, I'm not full Ancients, but I have enough damage to comfortably do T16 with it. Another thing you could do is, if you're low main stat, you could swap out the diamonds for emeralds. It doesn't make much of a difference at this point, but it makes a big difference early season. And if you play this build right, you don't need any toughness at all, so the fact that you're losing all that all-res wouldn't affect your survivability. Basically, because you can have Serenity up almost all the time and then Gold up almost all the time, you can just try and fill in the potential gold gaps with Serenity. Might have been picking stuff up, I might not, but when I was testing this earlier today, I was not picking anything up. So I'll try and go back to doing that. Yeah, really nice and quick farming, even faster with Rabid Strike. Well, might be running out of Ingeom. Nope. This was probably a better than average floor for this. Even though there's all these trees in the way, it's still generally an open-ish map. Not as good as this one, though. That would have been a pretty sweet one. Generally, if I get a little bit worse than average map, I just try and really go from elite to elite. I don't try and kill as much trash on the way because I really don't want any Ingeom downtime. So yeah, this is the build I used earlier today to get 26 rifts done in an hour. This is my favorite Demon Hunter rift farming build on live. Next season, you could throw on Warzekians or Gloves of Worship, or even work in Keep the Yangs and the Dawn and turn this into a Bolas speed build. I don't know if Bolas would actually be better than Shattershot, but I really like it as a Shattershot build. So I'm going to just run one rift and kind of show you how it plays. So you could either do this right outside or right inside. Kind of glad I did it right outside. But yeah, for my speed test, I didn't pick up any items. I was just going for globes like I did on the PTR for the Condemn with Cain's. I already know I'm pool capped, so I'm not going to worry about that pool either. So it just moves really fast and kills really easily. And normally it makes it hard to pick up items, but I think this is the type of build that if you were to ever stop picking up items, you really benefit, because it's like you're moving crazy fast, and that's okay. There's no downside. Every once in a while I will do a little stutter, like loop back a tiny bit, just to give the automatically generated shots a little extra chance to kill things. I think we had, do we have a speed pylon? That kind of skews the speed, but if that's it wearing off right now, then you can see what it looks like normally. Oh wow, so different. So basically we got a 100% movement speed boost from Smokescreen and a 60% from Tactical Advantage. And GOD has 160, so that's 320 right there before you even get the Shadow Glide in. And I got Retchels on, so that's a little bit, like, there is so much movement speed to this build that adding 50 for more Zekians probably wouldn't even be that noticeable. That's why I was thinking maybe Gloves of Worship, although it sustains so well, you don't really need Gloves of Worship for anything, so it's almost already too good to benefit from a 4th cube slot, other than maybe if there is a way buff your damage or something. So this is what I was most excited to find out, is how do these 3 builds compare to each other? So the Cain's Condemn I can only do on the PTR. The other 2 builds, because the PTR was so laggy, I just did them on live. So I'll try and talk through those little differences they'll have between then and now. So by comparison, I had far less Paragon on the Cain's Condemn. It was handling everything on T16 fine, but I could see adding a little bit more speed by swapping out something like Bane of the Trapped for Wreath of Lightning, for instance, as you gained an actual like normal amount of Paragon in a season and mid-season to be more comparable Paragon-wise to these other builds. So it has some room to grow, but my gear was really good for 900 Paragon because it's the PTR. I did 20 rifts in an hour, which gave me 87 keys. I was just keeping track every time I completed one, and that's how much I got, which was an average of 4.35 keys per rift. Now, normally you get 3 keys with a 50% chance of a 4th, so normally you have 3.5 average keys per rift, and normally Cain's gives you a 1.25 multiplier to that on average. So normally 4.375 keys per rift. I did a little bit worse than that, but it's almost negligible. It's half a key difference, which you can't have half a key drop. So basically I got the average amount that you should get if you do 20 rifts in an hour. On my LoD Wave of Light with 2300 Paragon with no theme, which by the way, I did try it last night when the lag wasn't terrible on PTR, and with like 1000 Paragon, it actually feels just about as powerful as it is on live. So just being able to add that Rabid Strike pretty much puts it at the same level as this 2300 Paragon Wave of Light. Anyway, I did 26 rifts in 1 hour today, which got me 95 keys. Like I was saying before, you have an average normally of 3.5 keys, and that was 3.65, which means typically in 26 rifts, you would get 91 keys. Still, 91 compared to 87, these were both very comparable, considering I feel like Wave of Light is one of the best, if not the best, Keyfarm build in the game. About the only argument I had in the past was, well, if you do Sunwukko with the Cain swap or not, and I just prefer to go with the simpler version of not doing that. But here, it showed that this Cain's really relatively slow farming build actually almost matched the Wave of Light. And then I did Shattershot, and that actually did better than Wave of Light, which kind of surprised me, but also kind of not, because it is pretty crazy. I did 28 rifts in an hour and got 96 keys in that hour, which if all I did was compare keys to keys and didn't count how many rifts I had done, these would look almost identical, about 1% difference with that one key. But there was a 2 rift difference. So this one, we did worse than average. We only got 3.4 keys. This one we got above average. So if you were to even these out over a long period of time, assuming that they would still get 26 rifts per hour and 28 rifts per hour, the Wave of Light would get 91 keys per an hour, and the Shattershot would get 98. So that's 7 extra keys per hour. Pretty, a little bit bigger of a difference. At the end of the day, the difference between 98 and 87, or actually 87.5, is not that great. It's around 10%. I would say these are all really good. And if you're wanting to play a lot of Demon Hunter, then you could definitely, there's no reason to pick another build to farm your keys. If you want to play a lot of Monk, I wouldn't say, oh, you should also have a Demon Hunter so you can farm 7 more keys per hour. Same thing with if you want to use Condemn, or sorry, if you want to use Crusader because the bombardment might go to live crazy strong, you could definitely farm a lot of keys using Cains and Condemn. And if you're in a group, then like this is going to be powerful enough, even split 4 ways, to definitely kill stuff. And they can make up the slack as far as not being able to clear the entire zone very, very fast. And you don't have to worry about Cain swapping. You just have to be near the boss when it dies to get the Cain's benefit. Thank you for watching. Best of luck key farming in Season 22.